What's up, everybody? Another week in the books. You are watching this on Friday, December 17th, 2021, and this is our second video state of the coin. Let us know what you think about it, what we can do to improve it. And yeah, we'll jump into some off chain, not too much Bitcoin specific stuff, although some big news out of Ledin. Shout out to our good friend Mario Gibney. And then a lot of macro stuff, so we'll talk a little bit about the macro. But yeah, let's jump into it. All right, let's jump in here to some off-chain news. Crack the bevy first. All right, let's start with some news out of Ledin. Ledin is a Bitcoin lending platform, so it allows you to take out loans using Bitcoin as the backing. It's similar to like BlockFi is another platform that allows you to do this. This week they announced that they raised $70 million in a financing round. That leads to a $540 million valuation. But some other big news, and maybe our friend Mario Gibney will elaborate on this in our spaces this afternoon. Every Friday afternoon, 3:30 Central Time, we do a Bitcoin happy hour Twitter spaces. Make sure you jump in on that. Mario is a regular in those, and maybe he can elaborate a bit on this other announcement that they released, which is that they are now rolling out a Bitcoin-backed mortgage product, meaning that you can, I'm assuming, use your Bitcoin as backing for a mortgage, which is awesome. Not 100% sure if anyone else is doing this, but pretty cool stuff out of Ledin. Last Sunday, we hit the 90% landmark for Bitcoin. So 90% of Bitcoin's supply has now been mined into circulation. The full 21 million, which is all that will ever exist, is set to be done in the next 119 years. And so, yeah, big landmark for Bitcoin. And this article is great. It kind of goes through some of the inflation rates of Bitcoin, and like the current inflation rate, I think it said is hovering between 1.75 and 1.88. After the next halving, that's set to go down by about 0.7 down to 1.1. Man, compare that to the 7% interest rate that we're seeing in the U.S. right now, just from CPI numbers. A lot of news from politicians this week in the Bitcoin space. Miami Mayor Francis Suarez, who in November announced that he'd be taking some of his pay as mayor of Miami in Bitcoin, is now saying that he wants to make it possible to allocate a portion of his 401k into Bitcoin. Some similar news out of Jackson, Tennessee, from Mayor Scott Conger. He tweeted out after this news for Miami came out. He tweeted out that they are going to be submitting some kind of legislation that would allow all Jackson public employees to allocate 401k, to allocate some portion of their 401k to Bitcoin. Another bit of news from politicians in the Bitcoin space: former South Carolina governor candidate John Warren has formed GEM Mining, which is, as you guessed it, a Bitcoin mining company. And let's get to the numbers down here. They plan to operate more than 32,000 machines. At the moment, they claim that they've got 9,000 machines that are fully operational, and that in the last 9 months, they've mined about 400 Bitcoin. So pretty cool stuff. What else do we have on deck? Russian central bank to ban Bitcoin. This is a report that came out of Reuters, so still has yet to be confirmed. Apparently they will be releasing statements soon, but the report basically just says that the central bank is in talks with market players about possibly banning new purchases of Bitcoin. However, it's unclear if this will just be new purchases or existing purchases too. One of the interesting things that will come out of this, or might come out of this, is like, what are all of these miners that just moved from China to Russia going to do, right? Like, if you can't own Bitcoin, obviously you can't mine it. So that will be interesting if we see another major country banning mining. Like, man, look for those miners to move into places like the U.S. I think Kazakhstan was another big benefiter of that ban in China. All right, outside of that, I did want to talk a little bit about the macro backdrop that we're in right now. So last week we got the November economic data from the Federal Reserve in the US. We see inflation at 6.8%. That's just the CPI number. That's likely a major underestimate. So as all of us, anybody that's watching this knows, it's inflation's still running red hot. In response to this, on Wednesday, the Federal Reserve came out and said that they're going to speed up their taper on bond purchases. They also said that we can expect at least 3 rate hikes in 2022. We'll see. I mean, time will tell whether or not that plays out. I doubt that it will. I mean, it's a midterm election year. I doubt that they're going to raise rates. Look, if they raise rates, stocks are going to go down. The stock market's, it's going to face a haircut at some point. My guess is that they will not do this in 2022, and it's an election year. I expect inflation is going to keep running high. I don't expect that we'll see 3 rate hikes in 2022. Who knows? I might be completely wrong. Excuse me. But time will tell. All right, that's it for off-chain. Let's jump into some on-chain stuff. Okay, let's jump into off-chain. Going to keep it pretty simple this week. Get my mouse over here. Price, we're sitting in the 46 to 48K range this week. Similar to September numbers. It's tough stuff. I keep thinking that we're going to hit some resistance at the bottom and then bounce right back up, but time will tell. We'll see. I know a bunch of people were hoping for 100K by Christmas. Not going to happen, it looks like. But you never know. You never know. That volatility coming down can be just as good going up. Here's that 200-week moving average. And we got SOPR. SOPR similar to last week, just kind of hovering above and below 1. To me, this is bullish, especially if you look at the spikes down. We're in a downturn for the last 2-3 weeks now. If you look at those downward spikes, like, people aren't selling. They're not really selling at a loss. What I'm guessing is there's a lot of people jumping in and just kind of quickly trading. There's not a lot of people that jumped in when we were up in the 50s and 60s that are now selling in the high 40s. So this to me is bullish. I'll always include the stock to flow ratio here. It's not spot on, but it hits pretty well at those halving events. And the next halving event is set to be, I think, May 2024, and it's 121K out there. So if the model continues its halving projection performance, then man, it's a long-term game, guys. All right, then we got the meme of the week. Like I said, on-chain, short and sweet. Meme of the week is from Bitcoin Meme Library. At least that's where I found it. How do we fix inflation? This is a classic meme. Yeah, just keep printing and then blame it on like greed in the big meat industry or whatever the hell they're doing now. Good stuff. Terrible take of the week. I got to give it to Schiff, man. This guy, the thing about Peter Schiff that pisses me off is that he's so spot on about the macro environment. Like, he's so spot on about so many things regarding inflation or stagflation, unemployment, and has great ideas about how to address those things. But then the gold stuff, man, the gold stuff just cracks me up. He's saying here traders again reacted to worse than expected inflation data by selling their gold. So here's a guy that is dead set on gold traders being smarter than Bitcoiners, saying gold traders have the real hedge against inflation. Well, I mean, is gold not a hedge against inflation, or are the gold traders not that intelligent? Like, one of those two things has to be true here. I got to give it to Peter Schiff for the terrible take of the week. Hey, the other thing that we have on this week's newsletter is our guest writer, Arizona Hodl. Super generous with his time this week, and wrote a great little piece for us, just comparing Bitcoin to the 12-step program. Just an absolute awesome piece. I really encourage everyone to go and check it out and give Arizona and Hodl. You'll find his link in the newsletter. Go give him a follow, man. He puts out great content and was, like I said, very gracious with his time. All right, that is going to do it for us. Week ending December 17th, 2021. This is the State of the Coin. Tune in to our spaces this afternoon at 3:30 Central Time, and I'll see you next week.